Well, folks, the big news is about a debate. 100 million people supposedly watched Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump square off. Some of the nastiest things back and forth. And I tell you, I'm run a university, and I think I would have flunked them. I'd given them a D- on content. It really was so puerile. It just wasn't. They talk about a big debate. Well, I'm not sure. We'll talk to David Brody about it later on this program.
Well, they both came out swinging at this big debate, and I mean, it's unsurprisingly, the debate was pretty rough at times. People expected that, I guess. Clinton saying that Trump isn't qualified to be president, Trump calling Clinton a typical politician who hasn't gotten things done in 30 years. And as Pat said, you know, not a lot of content beyond that. Well, CBN's David Brody and Jenna Browder have our team coverage from Hofstra University in New York.
The debate for the ages turned into one full of arguing. Trump played aggressor from the start, portraying Clinton as a long-term failed politician.
You've been doing this for 30 years. Why are you just thinking about these solutions right now?
Well, actually, I have thought about this quite a bit.
Yeah, for 30 years.
Mr. Trump,
typical politician, all talk, no action.
On the controversial Trans-Pacific Partnership trade deal, Trump lowered the boom on Clinton, switching positions.
You called it the gold standard of trade deals. You said it's the finest deal you've ever seen.
No.
And then you heard what I said about it, and all of a sudden you were against it.
Well, Donald, I know you live in your own reality, but that is not the facts. I have a feeling that by the end of this evening, I'm going to be blamed for everything that's ever happened.
Why not?
Why not? Yeah, why not? You know, just join the debate by saying more crazy things.
All night, policy took a back seat to the hostilities building between these two the past few months. Clinton continued questioning why Trump won't release his tax returns.
Or maybe he doesn't want the American people, all of you watching tonight, to know that he's paid nothing in federal taxes.
I will release my tax returns against my lawyer's wishes when she releases her 33,000 emails that have been deleted. As soon as she releases them, I will release.
As the debate moved on, Trump had to play defense on a number of topics, like the birther issue.
He has really started his political activity based on this racist lie.
Later, it got even more personal as Trump repeated one of his most provocative comments.
She doesn't have the look. She doesn't have the stamina. I said she doesn't have the stamina. And I don't believe she does have the stamina to be president of this country.
That led Clinton to point out Trump's past statements against women.
But this is a man who has called women pigs, slobs, and dogs.
There is always so much to sift through after a huge debate like this, and it all starts afterwards in the spin room. And that is where we find my colleague Jenna Browder. Jenna.
Thanks, David. Well, after a debate like this one, everyone has an opinion, but whose will get the most traction?
I thought it was a great night for Donald Trump. He stood toe-to-toe with Secretary Clinton, who is, you know, nothing but trying to come up with one zinger after the next. And I think he toed the line. He showed the American people that he was ready to be president.
I think tonight Secretary Clinton was able to lay out her plans, as she showed that she came prepared to talk about the difficult challenges facing this country with solutions that I think will enable all Americans to believe that she is prepared to lead us in the 21st century.
Two sides, two stories. The Clinton camp pushing the narrative that Donald Trump came unhinged.
I don't think he presented a coherent vision for where he wants to take the country. I think he got dragged down into defending himself. I think he's so narcissistic that for him, when he's challenged on a misstatement or a wrong position he's taken in the past, he just dwells on trying to convince people of his all-knowingness.
Trump surrogates, meantime, say the businessman held his own.
I'd say the clear matchup on the economy, the clear matchup on trade. I think those were very clear contrasts. I think also that Mr. Trump spoke forthrightly with people and spoke with clarity and conviction.
The next debate is less than 2 weeks from now in St. Louis. And to give you an idea of just how important these debates are, a new poll shows they will help roughly half of all voters make up their minds. In New York, Jenna Browder, CBN News.
Well, David Brody is with us now from New York. David, what was Trump's campaign plan going into this thing?
Well, they wanted to do a couple things here, Pat. I mean, I think they definitely wanted to get on Clinton and really be aggressive, and we saw that at the start. I mean, but the problem here for Donald Trump is that he was great, in quotes, if you will, for 20 minutes of the debate. The problem is the debate lasted 90 minutes. And so while those first 20 minutes he was aggressively prosecuting Hillary Clinton and bringing up things that, quite frankly, a lot of those 17 other GOP candidates that he defeated probably wouldn't have done it in quite that manner. He then tended to lose focus later on, and I think it really became more about the I word. In other words, we heard about him defending himself and talking about, well, I did this and I had this venture and I had that venture, and he was very much put on the defensive, and he didn't really talk about we the people. He didn't kind of bring it back to that Make America Great Again campaign slogan. And Pat, I got to tell you, if you listen to the times that he said the words Make America Great Again, one time it was at the end, about 90 minutes in. That is not good for Donald Trump, because that's what he needed to do.
David, apparently he didn't do any debate prep or almost minimal debate prep. You know, you have to rehearse some of those lines. You have to know the attack is coming at you and be prepared to parry it. He spent about 8 minutes on that birther nonsense.
Yeah, it hurt him. And I know there's criticism directed at Lester Holt, the moderator, directed his way for even bringing that up to begin with. But then he rambled. He rambled on and on about the birther issue. And it gave Hillary Clinton a chance to obviously say that that whole thing was just such a racist lie. Those were her words. And that was a bad moment for Donald Trump. And so, yeah, look, but if you go down the list, Pat, I mean, where was Benghazi? Why didn't he bring that up? I mean, he had a chance to on foreign policy. The Clinton emails came up briefly, but he didn't really go there too much. What about the deplorables, the basket of deplorables? We never heard that at all. So some real missed opportunities for Donald Trump. Better shore that up next time. He's only got 2 more left.
What are they going to do the next time, you think? I mean, was there a focus? Did this thing have a so-called focus? Was it on foreign policy? I couldn't quite understand what it is they were aiming for on this one.
Well, it was a little bit loosey-goosey. There were 6 15-minute time frames, if you will, trying to delve into 6 different topics. But in essence, it was the economy and foreign policy and then security moving forward. But it felt very haphazard. The next one coming up in St. Louis will be a town hall that typically we're not quite sure exactly who that will benefit. I mean, Hillary Clinton isn't necessarily all that great in a town hall because she's not as personable a candidate. But then again, Donald Trump isn't the most personal guy either, so it's going to be interesting to see what he's going to do. But he is going to have to be on his A game. There's no doubt he was not. Now, Hillary Clinton, she was okay. I mean, she smiled a lot. She was like the Cheshire cat all night long. I think, look, did you notice the grandmother reference in the first 2 minutes? She talked about being a grandmother. The Clinton campaign wanted to project her as someone that was not going to get angry, was not going to get frustrated, but was also going to litigate the case against Donald Trump.
Well, she was amazing because she had rehearsed. What are the Trump people telling you? Have you had a chance to talk to any of them about the strategy for the next one going forward?
Yeah, well, I have to tell you privately, and I talked to a few folks off the record privately, they were shaking their heads, Pat. They were a bit frustrated. They realized that he got unfocused towards the latter half of the debate, and they realized that they have some work to do. And look, they try to put a positive spin forward. But going forward, I think they realize that they have to hit the emails more, they have to hit Benghazi, and they have to hit the basket of deplorables. Now, what he did do well, and I know that they felt that this was effective at the beginning of the debate. You notice that he talked about how Hillary Clinton's been around for 30 years and nothing has happened. Nothing's gone on. She's a typical politician. They believe that worked well, and quite frankly, it did. It was probably his best part of the debate. They will do that more. They will make sure that Trump definitely hammers that theme home a lot more coming up.
You know, David, the administration right now, Obama, has put in effect, without congressional approval, a basket of regulations that are stifling to American industry and will cost probably $500 billion or $1 trillion, or maybe even more. I mean, but Trump didn't mention those things. He could have brought it out in clear detail, but he didn't do it. And Hillary's going to back up all those things, not to mention Obamacare, which is a disaster.
He didn't do any of it, Pat. You're absolutely right. And you look, he has told me in private conversations as it relates to the EPA and some other things that he has said that, look, I am not going to be an executive order president like this president. In other words, yes, he's going to roll back some of President Obama's executive orders, but going forward, he doesn't plan to be this guy that takes out a pen and starts writing executive orders left and right. He needed to point that out to the American people, because I think a lot of people think, oh, they hear law and order president. I'm talking about for people that are on the fence-sitting voters. What does that mean exactly? Is this guy going to be out of control with the pen and the executive orders? And he has told me that he will not be one of those type of presidents. Did not point that out at all.
David, I couldn't sleep last night very much. I was up at 3 in the morning.
You and me. You and me, Pat, I agree.
Anyhow, you know, there's no joy in Mudville for the mighty Casey has struck out. Well, we'll see if the mighty Casey can come back in the second game of the series.
Well, Pat, I just want to say real quick, just one last thing to point out, that the good news for Trump here is this. We've heard the show 8 is Enough, that show in the 1980s or whatever it was. Maybe 20 minutes is enough for Trump. In other words, he did well for 20 minutes. A lot of people tune out after about 20 minutes, 30 minutes. So we will see if they're not listening to the mainstream media, maybe that 20 minutes or so will be enough to turn out not just his base, but some of those frustrated independent voters. You know, and I will also say this, Pat, very important. This is traditional from a debate standard performance. Hillary Clinton won from traditional standards. This is not a traditional election. So who knows? Well, I need to get some sleep, too.
Yeah. Well, we maybe rest up for the next time. David, thank you so much. And you can also, ladies and gentlemen, get David's latest political reports and insights on the Brody File on CBNnews.com. Terry, it's sad. Anyhow,
well, I think what David said at the end is very true, though. This is not a typical election. People are not voting for Donald Trump because he's a genius in the debate world. They want change, and they're fed up with the status quo. So that couldn't change after last night.
If, you know, Reince Priebus is saying, well, he won. I mean, that's the spin room is going to say he won. People don't know who won or didn't win, but I don't know. Ladies and gentlemen, you'll have to see. But I do think, I hope my dear friend Donald will listen to this. Please take off from the road for 2 or 3 days and do debate prep and get those lines in your mind and get set. You've got to do it. If you were the super pro going to the Super Bowl, you would still be rehearsing your plays.